Ferrari manager Fred Vasseur has warned against setting too high expectations again, but believes the team can build on its late-season success to help its 2024 campaign. Building on this will pressure Max Verstappen into mistakes, hopes Vasseur. Next to that, Ferrari has finally decided to extend one of its drivers' contracts. Stick around to find out who's staying and who could potentially leave Ferrari after next year. After being the only team to put Red Bull under pressure in 2022, there was confidence in the Ferrari camp that they would be able to level the playing field and compete for the championship. However, the Scuderia was dealt a setback at the start of 2023 when it appeared in Bahrain, testing with a car that fell short of those expectations and struggled on race speed, particularly on hot, high downforce tracks. While team principal Vasseur believes the team may take encouragement from how it steadied its performance across multiple track types in the latter half of the year, when it was the only team to prevent Red Bull from completing a clean sweep of 22 race victories, he cautions against repeating its 2023 optimism. For sure, I think the level of expectation was a bit too high at the beginning of the season, Vasseur said. After a couple of laps in Bahrain and even a couple of laps in the simulator before Bahrain, we understood the situation quickly. But what I would keep in mind this season is the reaction of the team. We had a tough moment, but remember after Jeddah, Miami, Spain or Zandvoort is not so far away and we were almost lapped. I think that we, compared to Zandvoort, collectively made a huge step forward and this is good for the future. It's on this progression that we can build for next year. Rather than making incremental modifications, Ferrari is betting on an all-new car concept for next season to solve its shortcomings from the bottom up. While drivers Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz are hoping for a tighter competition in 2024, the prospect of Red Bull focusing on next year before the other top teams is unavoidable. I don't know if it will be better next year, nobody knows, Vasseur added. But you know what you are doing in your business, and it is always a matter of comparison. If you can make up 1 second and the others are doing 1.5s, then you look stupid. But if they do 5/10, then you look like a hero. I don't want to be too optimistic because it was probably one of the issues we had last season. We just have to be focused on what we are doing and not think about the outcome of the championship before it is won, or to look at the prize-giving ceremony before Bahrain. And if Ferrari will be able to produce a more competitive car, it will result in a more challenging fight at the top, as Max Verstappen will make more mistake under pressure. He emphasized that the Italian squad did not put enough pressure on the Red Bull driver this year. Verstappen won 19 of the 22 races this season, finishing second twice behind teammate Sergio Perez in early races, and then fifth to Ferrari's Carlos Sainz after Red Bull had an off weekend at the Singapore Grand Prix in September. The Dutchman also came through the year with almost little damage to his RB19, though he did collide with George Russell in Las Vegas, which resulted in a penalty for the Mercedes driver. "I think it is not sure that someone has a doubt on this. He did a mega season," he said when asked to assess Verstappen's year. He was fighting with Checo in the first 2 or 3 events, and then he was on another planet. Clearly, he didn't do a mistake all season, and when he struggled in quali, like in Jeddah, it was due to a mechanical issue. And then he was always there, always making good starts, no contact. The only one was Vegas. But I think we are getting a bit closer to him. I don't want to say putting him under pressure because it is not true. In Abu Dhabi, he was not under pressure. But he was a bit more under pressure than he was in Zandvoort, or in some other events when he was flying. Vasseur emphasized that, while Ferrari improved in the last races of the season, the Italian team was still not close enough to make life difficult for the world champion. "There is no doubt on the fact that he was dominating all the season," he said. "And the only issue for us is that, as everybody, he will do more mistakes when he will be under pressure. But nobody was able to put him under pressure this season except us at the last 2 or 3 events, or except Carlos in Singapore. And it's where he started to do some mistakes, or perhaps Red Bull did some mistakes in terms of setup. We were too far away to put this kind of pressure on them. Next year will show us if Ferrari are up for the fight." But that's not all the good news for Ferrari, as Ferrari reportedly has signed a huge new contract with Leclerc, leaving Sainz out in the cold for now. Charles Leclerc is apparently destined for a 5-year Ferrari contract deal for €50 million, while Carlos Sainz will face competition to get his desired 2 years. With both Leclerc and Sainz out of contract after F1 2024, Ferrari is nearing a tough year for driver selections. However, it appears like Leclerc's future is certain, and a very promising one at that, while Sainz must engage in serious discussions to determine his Ferrari future. According to La Gazzetta dello Sport, Ferrari has agreed to sign Leclerc to a new 5-year contract that includes a significant wage increase. With a starting salary of €25 million, it would more than increase to €50 million by the end of his duration. Ferrari's projected title push never materialized in F1 2023, with the Scuderia losing out in the race for runner-up to Mercedes, who secured the P2 slot in the season-ending Abu Dhabi GP. Performance-related leave rules will kick in from the 3rd year under the new terms for Leclerc, according to La Gazzetta dello Sport, who claims the announcement is imminent. However, although Leclerc's future seems bright in Ferrari colours, a breakthrough is apparently required for Sainz's. Sainz was the first non-Red Bull driver to win a Grand Prix in F1 2023, taking the checkered flag in Singapore, albeit he is the racer on whom Ferrari appears to be dubious in the long run. While Sainz wants at least a 2-year contract, a 1-year agreement is thought to suit Ferrari better, with McLaren's Lando Norris, who has a commitment until the end of 2025, a driver Ferrari is keeping an eye on should an opportunity to attract him to Maranello arise. Meanwhile, Sainz has been adamant in his denial of recent reports tying him to a move to Audi, who will enter the grid in 2026 when Sauber assumes the position of Audi's works team, operating their newly developed power unit. Nevertheless, the drivers should be excited for next year as the development of the Ferrari in the end stages of the season really proved to be in the right direction. With Leclerc even stating his season was divided into 2 seasons due to the latest upgrades. As around 2/3 of the way through the season, an upgraded floor changed Leclerc's form and fate, igniting a remarkable run throughout the final 7 events. The Japanese Grand Prix change was significant, with new front floor fences, floor, mid-floor, and diffuser sidewalls, as well as a reworked side pod undercut. The emphasis was on loss control and load distribution to improve aerodynamic efficiency, simply more constant downforce rather than an increase in outright load. Ferrari team chief Fred Vasseur called it a small upgrade, saying that, in terms of pure performance, it was not something mega. But I think in terms of comfort, it was important and very beneficial for Charles, he said. It was part of a season-long attempt to improve the SF23's predictability and usability, a problem that had plagued Leclerc in particular. With it, Leclerc stopped a record of 4 straight qualifying and race losses to teammate Carlos Sainz. Though one race was insufficient to form a strong judgment, all that followed led Leclerc to a definite conclusion by the end of the season. "We've had 2 parts of the season, pre-Japan and post-Japan at least on my side," Leclerc explained in Abu Dhabi. "I feel much more at ease with the car since Japan. We've worked on the consistency of the car in different conditions, which helped a lot with my driving style. I like quite a lot to have an oversteery car and a strong front, which in the first part of the season I couldn't quite do." When Leclerc divides his season into pre- and post-Japan phases, he is not exaggerating. While there were plenty of highlights in the first 2/3 of the year, the entire Azerbaijan weekend, finishing second in Austria and being best of the rest in Belgium, it was proving to be a volatile campaign as Leclerc tried to stick with the kind of car setup he prefers, but that the SF23's snappiness did not allow for. After the summer break, his season started in a dismal manner as Ferrari addressed the car's main flaw by dialing in understeer to control the rear. This suited Sainz far better, as seen by his run of outstanding success, including the Singapore triumph, during a brief stint as Ferrari's obvious lead driver. Leclerc attempted, but failed, to modify his driving style in order to mimic Sainz's effectiveness. From Japan, however, a more solid base allowed Leclerc to return to his natural flair. "I felt much more at ease, and could be much more consistent," he added. Leclerc's 7-race run from Japan onwards would have come very close to matching his entire points tally for the 15 race weekends that preceded it, had he not been disqualified from Austin and been able to take the start in Brazil, where he had that unfortunate reliability issue that sparked a formation lap crash. Almost every measure has improved since Japan. More points per start, more pole positions, 3 in 7 races, higher grid and finishing averages, and the same amount of podiums. So, will they be able to challenge Red Bull next year? And what about Sainz's contract? Will he stay after 2024? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.